The Nintendo DS. Some would say it's the best handheld ever, but there's one thing that nobody can deny, is that it had a huge library of games. So much so that this couldn't be just limited to 10 games, but instead, a top 20. The only requirement for this list? DS games only. So Ace Attorney fans, sorry to disappoint, but they were made for the Game Boy Advance. Well, we've gone on long enough, let's get this started. Here is the top 20 DS games of all time. 20 through 11. Number 20.
Lunar Nights!
If Lunar Nights just barely makes the list, then you know you got some great games. The best block tie game by far, mainly because you can play this one without the risk of getting skin cancer. Lunar Nights is just a blast to play, with its great action and combat. Oh, being made by Hideo Kojima also helped. Number 19. Chrono Trigger may not have made the list, but hey, that doesn't mean there's no room for another time-traveling RPG. One of the last great games for the DS. Gaiden Historia had everything to make itself a great RPG. A great story, interesting characters, not to mention a great new take on time traveling. Gaiden Historia truly is a blast from the past. Number 18. Hey, it's a surprise game on this list. Deluxe Quest got everything right for a tower defense game. It includes some new changes like, gasp, being able to fight on the front lines. Oh, and it had a good story to boot. Number 17. Taking everything that worked from the GameCube title, Animal Crossing Wild World let you live your life as the only human in a world filled with talking animals. Unless you had a few buddies with a copy of their own, in which case you could explore their own world. And people say video games are antisocial. Number 16. After a long hiatus, the Golden Sun series came back with a few new tricks up its sleeve. Touchscreen controls made the great puzzles even more fun to do. The only problem? Another sequel-bait ending. I guess it's even more like playing the old Golden Sun games than we thought. Number 15. Aww. I mean, man, what a sequel. With precise controls and great puzzles, Okamiden is a pup-sized sequel that does justice to its art house predecessor. The well-scripted story doesn't hurt either. And come on, who doesn't love dogs? Or should I say, a demi-dog? Yeah, next number. Number 14. Man, Konami wasn't messing around with the 20th anniversary of Contra. Made by WayForward, you know you're getting an old school game made new. Insane power-ups, insane bosses, insane level design, and insane difficulty. Really insane difficulty. In other words, it's Contra at its finest, and that's why Contra 4 is at number 14. Number 13. While Contra 4 is an old school game made at its purest, Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword is an old school franchise made new on the Nintendo DS. Inventive and challenging, it utilized the DS's touchscreen to make one of the most interesting choices for a combat system. The only problem? Holding the DS like a book. Not very comfortable. Number 12. The definitive first-person shooter for the DS. Metroid Prime Hunters may not have been as good as Metroid Prime, but let's be honest, how many games are? Well, it had a decent single-player campaign. It was the multiplayer where the game really shined through. Going online and facing up against your would-be prey or predator was incredibly satisfying. It's a perfect example of how to make a good online FPS for a handheld. Number 11. If there was ever a series that personified the DS, that would be the Professor Layton series. While all the games are excellent, the third one hit all the right notes, with a perfect blend of story and puzzles. And time traveling. That makes every game better. Just not good enough for a top 10 spot.